Welcome once again to McCombs Field. I'm Carter Blackburn with former Aggie All-American Amanda Scarborough. Well, Oklahoma State coming into Friday night, coming into this weekend series, having trouble swinging the bats. Early on, anyway, yesterday, the Cowgirls got it done.
Yeah, they were the ones who actually came into the game and scored first, coming out really aggressive against Rachel Fox and putting numbers on the board before Texas even had a chance to score. Really impressed with the way that they decided to swing the bat.
But then in the third inning, Texas gets 3 runs. In fact, only 3 hits in the game for Texas. These 2 back-to-back hits from Taylor and Craig both drove in runs to give Texas the 3-1 lead at that point. Blair Luna doesn't get the start in the circle, but she closes out the ball game, getting the save for Texas. 3-2 win on Friday night, game 1 of the weekend series. Now it's on to Saturday, meaning Texas has an opportunity to win the weekend series today. 2 new pitchers in the circle.
Yeah, we're going to see 2 new fresh faces. Kat Espinosa of Oklahoma State did a great job last night of coming in and having a solid performance. Needs to be backed up by a sophomore from Australia, Simone Freeman. Coach Rich Willigman likes the way that she moves the ball around the plate. She's going to need to rely on that movement to go up against a tough Texas lineup. And then for Texas, we'll see the junior and Kim Bruins. Coach Connie Clark loves the way that she goes out and competes. And right now, Texas needs a pitcher who's going to go out there and do just that to get Texas back into the rhythm of winning and get momentum going their way.
On pink at the plate Saturday, Longhorns and Cowgirls. Texas with a chance to take the weekend series.
You know, having played for Coach Rich Willigman, you know, we call him Coach Wiggs. His philosophy is just keep swinging. And whether that takes halfway through the season or the entire season to get that philosophy to work for you and to fall into place, just keep swinging, and eventually good things are going to happen.
Brown swings and hits this one into shallow center field. Bennett ranges out, can't grab it. It'll fall for a base hit, putting runners at the corners with only 1 out in the first.
And there you see part of that keep swinging mentality, and good things are going to fall, even if it means it's not going to be the prettiest hit. Bennett makes a good effort for this play. She dropped steps to her right, but looked like she got scared as she felt Washington coming up behind her. But I think even if Bennett would have kept a beat on that ball, that it would have been a tough play to still grab.
So was that Washington's ball since she's coming in from center field?
It's Washington's ball, definitely, to call her off, and Bennett goes for it until she hears Washington. So maybe that's what happened. Washington called her off.
Still only 1 out. Craig lays off the 2-1, and now Jessica Moore is going to get a warning. Mike White's jogging out there because James Martirona, the home plate umpire, was about to go to the circle to give Jessica Moore a warning about arguing balls and strikes. So Mike White sprints out of the dugout to get between the home plate umpire and Jessica Moore.
Yeah, especially with that play that just happened, and then Jessica Moore saying something to the umpire. You've really got to be careful because emotions are running high right now. The umpires feel it, the coaches feel it, and the last thing that Mike White needs is for Jessica Moore to be the one that ends up potentially getting ejected out of the game. And right now you can't really take any chances, and Moore's been working that screwball hard on the inside part of the corner, and it's up to her to make adjustments, and that's just part of our game. You can't argue balls and strikes. The end.
A 12-1 win Saturday at Iowa State gave 4th-ranked Oklahoma its 5th Big 12 regular season softball title, 9th overall if you add in conference tournaments, which are not played anymore. 9 titles is the most by a Big 12 team. Texas has 8. Oklahoma finished league play at 18-5, the most wins by a team in conference history. Of course, they did go to the 3-game series this season. Patty Gasso has led Oklahoma to 19 straight 40-win seasons, 6 Women's College World Series as well. And to find out whether they might make it 7 appearances in the Women's College World Series, we have our Big 12 This Week college softball analyst, the former Texas A&M star, Amanda Scarborough. Let's talk about this Oklahoma team. Kaylani Ricketts is 2nd in the Big 12 in ERA, leads the conference in strikeouts. They've bashed 84 home runs as a team led by freshman Lauren Chamberlain. How dominant a run has this been for the Sooners?
I feel like their dominance has really shown through, and it's not just 1 or 2 people who are doing the damage, it's the entire team. Their team batting average, 316, good for top 15 in the nation, and then leading the nation in team ERA collectively. I mean, this team just gets it done at the plate and defensively, and what better categories do you want to lead in other than ERA and in batting average?
That's pretty good if you can do both of those.
Yeah.
So it was fun spending some time with them. Jessica Schultz, she lost 20 pounds while battling that pan-ulcerative colitis. What do you think it has taken for her to get back healthy this year, and how much do you think this team is playing for her to get her back to the Women's College World Series healthy this time?
I think a lot, and it has to do with the fact that they respect her as a leader and as a person, because what she went through last year, to sit there and watch her team play in the Women's College World Series and not get to be a part of it, that's made her want to get back there even more. So I can guarantee that when she was practicing on her own to get back into this season, she had that in the back of her mind and wants to give herself a chance to get back on that field in Oklahoma City as well.
We mentioned Texas has not made it out of the regional round the last 2 years. Their pitcher Blair Luna has been somewhat up and down at times this season, but they have 3 of the top 7 hitters in the Big 12. You've seen the Longhorns a good deal this season. What is your sense of where they are now?
Well, I think offensively, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be able to score runs, because 9 of their hitters are hitting above 300. But that is the question mark on the mound, is Blair Luna. But in 2 of her last 3 starts, she had double-digit strikeouts, which is huge for her, saying that she's back in the groove. And they won their last 2 games against Baylor and against Oklahoma. So if they were looking for momentum to feel good about themselves going into the postseason, they have it. And they're also led by Taylor Hoagland, has hit 16 home runs there in the leadoff spot, followed by the 3 seniors who back her up in the lineup. I really like Texas as a team, and I keep giving them chance after chance, and I think that Blair Luna can get it done on the mound this postseason.
Now, last year coming out of the Big 12, the 2 surprise teams in the postseason were Oklahoma State and Baylor. Is there a surprise team this time around, and if so, who do you think it might be?
I'm going to give it to Texas Tech. They're going up to Washington. I kind of foreshadowed about how Washington isn't playing great, and though they might not even play Washington in the regional because there are 4 teams, I like the way that Texas Tech works and how Shannon Hayes gets his team ready and prepared, and I like the guts of Kara Custer on the mound. She'll be in her home state of Washington, giving them a good chance to get out of that regional, but in super regionals, they'd be matched up against the 1 seed in Cal.
Okay, that takes me to my final question then. Which one of these teams has the toughest road to Oklahoma City?
And I've got to go with Missouri. To me, their regional is the toughest with DePaul and UMass. UMass's pitcher, one of the tops in the nation. She has big strikeout numbers. And then if they do get out of the regional, then they have to go down and play in College Station against Texas A&M, who's beat them the last 2 of 3 times that they've played them. And I think that, to me, they have a really tough road to get back to Oklahoma City.
Okay, so your prediction on how many conference teams make it to Oklahoma City?
I'd say 2. Oklahoma for sure, and then either Missouri or Texas A&M.
Texas?
I just don't think that they're going to make it out of super regional. And that's just my prediction. And I have them making it 2 super regionals, but I don't think they'll make it to Oklahoma City.
Okay, we're going to write that down and keep track of it and hit you with it when the season is all said and done.
Fair enough.
Alabama question for you. Again, you don't know where it's going to stop. You good? All right, good. Just making sure. Our Alabama question. You know what? They're rolling. They haven't lost yet in this NCAA tournament. But what is their Achilles heel, if there is one?
I have to say that I feel like they have to rely on so much on Jackie Traina on the mound. If she gets into trouble, they do have Amanda Locke, who's a senior, who can come in behind her. But to me, they put so much effort into Jackie Traina, and it's a lot of pressure for just one person.
All right, so there's our Alabama one. We got another Ulette to go. Let's play Ulette, and let's stop. You're very scary. Okay, Cal, we hit all. We didn't have any repeats, which is good. Our Cal question for you: they enter as the top seed. Now, I asked Michelle this earlier. Does that make Cal the favorite to win this event in your mind, even though since they are the 1?
And I actually have a different answer than Michelle. I don't think that they're the favorite to win it. I like the Oklahoma team that they've put out, and I like the way that Alabama is playing too. But it's not to take anything away from Cal, because I do feel like they are a great team. But to me, it's so hard to have that 1 overall ranking for so long and keep up what it means to be number 1 and have such a big target on your back. So I do like the Cal team, but not my favorite.
I have a bonus question for you.
Okay.
What network is OU USF on in 12 minutes?
I think I heard that they're on ESPN. That's spelled ESPN.
Not, right, exactly. Ding. ESPN2, not for that game. The rest of them, yes. Oklahoma, USF, top of the hour, ESPN, where you can find it. Amanda picks all 4 Thursday games next. No, that's impressive. It certainly says a lot about Oklahoma and the young ladies they have on that team. But when you look at Ricketts, as you were an All-American pitcher, what do you see from her when you look at her ability and what she does in the circle?
Well, luckily, she has the size. She stands over 6 foot tall, and she's just a strong girl. And this year, she got herself into shape, losing 25 pounds from last year to get herself into the best shape that she could be in to compete on the mound for this year. And mechanics-wise, she not only has the size, but she puts her body in the right spot. Right initially off the mound, she has a good angle. You see that sprinter's position that she's going to take off of the mound to have the most power out of her legs. Then in the middle of her pitch, she gets so big and completely open with her shoulders and her hips in order to put herself in the best position for her release. Right there, the most important part where she has a firm but flexed front side and she keeps her shoulders back behind her front foot to give herself the most power and spin that she can have.
She is the ace of this Oklahoma team that as a unit has the lowest earned run average in all of Division I softball this season. And you see that their opponent here in less than an hour is second on the list. Oklahoma and USF have the lowest ERAs, respectively, in all of Division I softball. Also on that list, we saw LSU, who plays in the second game against Cal. What do you like about LSU when it comes to pitching?
Well, you can't talk enough about the LSU pitching because really that's all there is when you talk about how low their team batting average is. But Brittany Mack and Rachel Fico in the circle for them. Last year, it was all Brittany Mack. She was All-American. But this year, it's really been Rachel Fico stepping up. And you can't say that they have a 1 and 2. They have more like a #1 pitcher and a 1A. So Rachel Fico being the main one, but Brittany Mack, she has stepped up. And I love the intensity that she pitches with to lead her team. But the thing that makes her such a great pitcher and why nobody can really get around on her this year is her ability to change speeds. Out of all the pitchers in the Women's College World Series, I think that Brittany Mack has the best changeup and off speed out of anyone.
You see the numbers between the two of them. They are staggering. And keep in mind the Brittany Mack loss was a very difficult 12-inning loss in their Super Regional. So those great LSU pitchers going up against a pretty good Cal offense. We're going to go tail of the tape on all 4 of these Thursday matchups here at the Women's College World Series. Amanda, let's start with the first category, hitting. I know they hit 221, so who gets the advantage here?
Got to go with Cal because they have Val Arioto in their lineup, one of the finalists for National Player there, one of the 3 finalists. But not just her, they have Echevarria who hits behind her, so that the LSU pitchers are going to have to go at Arioto because they don't want to go back-to-back with Echevarria behind her.
All right, you look at the lineup. Who gets the edge in speed?
Speed still goes to Cal. They have a girl by the name of Jamia Reed in their lineup. She hits leadoff, she steals a lot of bases, puts pressure on the defense, lefty slapper too. I like her. All
right, how about you as a great pitcher at Texas A&M? You look at these two staffs. I know Arioto, Jolene Henderson over there. We just saw the 2 over here. Who has the advantage? This feels like a close one.
It's so tough because they both have 2 great pitchers, but I got to go advantage with LSU on the mound with Brittany Mack and Rachel Fico.
All right, that brings us to an X factor, which is interesting because it can be anything you want it to be. So what is it and who has the advantage?
To me, the X factor is like that it factor. Who has momentum going into this game and who needs that X factor in order to win? So for me, LSU has that
Really?
X factor. And it's because they've been the underdog. They've played that role in the postseason. And in order to go up against a team like Cal, who has everything to lose, they're the #1 seed, they got to have that X factor if they want to win.
Cannot wait to see if a little bit later when you actually pick some games, if this turns out to be an upset type pick. All right, there you have it. All Pac-12. They're familiar with one another. Oregon and Arizona State split the 2 games they had against one another this season. Now you got to help break the split, if you will. Hitting, speed, pitching, X factor, as we've done all day. Who gets the edge in hitting?
Well, to me, this is actually a really even matchup, and it was tough for me to come up with these 4 categories. But for hitting, I think I have to go with Arizona State. I really like the top of their lineup with Caitlin Boyd and Alex Johnson to back her up. 2 All-Americans that hit 1-2. And also, Annie Lockwood really started to get her Super Regional going, so look for her to be part of that Arizona State lineup, a big part of it in the World Series.
All right, so they get the edge there. How about speed? I know in football, it's always Oregon when it's speed. What about softball?
Well, they're going to be in this matchup too. And you look at the stolen base numbers, and that's not really where I got this speed, where I picked Oregon to be speed. But Coach White, he sits at third base and coaches this team, and he's able to read the defense. So even though they don't have a lot of speed, he takes chances at the right times, and he utilizes that speed as he reads the defense on the field.
So we could even make speed a little bit more of a base running category in general.
Absolutely.
All right, who has the pitching edge?
With pitching, got to go with Arizona State. The way that Dallas Escobedo threw in Game 3 of the Super Regional, she was true to form with the way that she looked last year in the national championship game. And even if she does go down, if she doesn't have a great game, they have a senior in Hillary Bach who's there to back her up. So they have a really good 1-2 punch, but the way that Escobedo threw was just really great.
So far, we've had 3 matchups. You've split 2 of the 3. Are we working on a split here? Who gets the edge in X Factor, and what is it?
In the X Factor, I like it with Oregon with the with the momentum that they gained in the Super Regional against Texas. They lost in their Game 1, looked really bad, but then they came back the second day in the doubleheader and looked like a different team. And I expect that team to carry into the Women's College World Series. And not to mention, when you have Mike White on your coaching staff, he picks pitches, just another X Factor that could potentially be with Oregon.
Again, we're getting closer to Amanda picking all 4 of these Thursday games.